Now available in paperback and Kindle Unlimited, The Man Crisis. Learn why so many men are struggling to find their way in an increasingly gynocentric world in The Man Crisis. Get your copy of The Man Crisis in paperback and Kindle Unlimited today. Recently, there has been this trend where we have these Afro-American Negro women on YouTube making these videos talking about how much they love black men. And these videos are made to deceive a lot of black men who are gullible and extremely naive and just don't understand the big picture as it relates to these Afro-American Negro women. Now, a couple of years ago, I wrote a blog called Beware the Washed Up Black Woman, and I made a follow-up video regarding that blog, Beware the Washed Up Black Woman. And as it relates to these videos talking about how much these black women love black men, you have to beware these washed up black women, because these washed up black women, what they are trying to do with these videos is trying to reinvent themselves so that they can find a place to go be, so they can get access to men's resources, one, and two, black men's protection. Because many of these same black females who were making these videos talking about how much they love their melanated brothers and how much they love black men, how they want the protection of black men, these washed up black females a few years earlier were the same ones praising, swirling, and denouncing black men and talking about how much they loved white men, how much they loved Asian men, how much they loved Arab men, and how much they loved Hispanic men, and how much they wanted to have relationships with those men, and how those men are supposedly better than black men. But now that their relationships with those white men, those Hispanic men, those Asian men, and those Arab men have gone sour, and those white men and those Asian men, Arab men, and Hispanic men have moved on, now these black women, now they want to try to go back to black men. And because these black women believe that many black men out here are extremely weak and extremely naive, they believe they can go back to black men. And what they will do to try to go back to black men is they will come out here making these types of videos talking about how much they love the black man, and the naive, gullible simps out here, they'll believe it, and many more will fall for what these women will do after they make these videos, which is reinvent themselves with a series of gimmicks. Because when it comes down to the washed up black woman, oftentimes after she has been run through by the white men, the Asian men, the Arab men, the Indian men, and the Hispanic men, what she will do is return to the black community with a series of gimmicks to deflect from who she was. And what they will do, because they know men are visual creatures, is they will go out here and change their hair, change their makeup, and create a whole new persona, and use that new persona to let people, trick people into believing that she is something that she is not. And when I wrote the blog, Beware the Washed Up Black Woman, I talked about these gimmicks and personas that these women use. Now, the first one that black women like to use is this born-again Christian, because what these women will do after being burnt by your white men, your Asian men, your Arab men, and your Hispanic men is they will talk about how they have found Jesus. Do not believe anything that this woman says, because what they will do is come out here talking about they're a born-again Christian, they'll be in the church, and they'll be carrying their Bible, and they'll be quoting scriptures. But again, all you have to do is push one button and she goes right back to being the same dysfunctional female that she was before. And this is one of the ones that a lot of these females like to go and put on because they know that there are a lot of gullible simps in the church, and they also are looking for a way to get an opportunity to get in a relationship with that black pastor because the black pastor has the most resources. So this is what they'll do. They'll become this born-again Christian. They'll be putting on the suits and going out on Sunday morning. They'll be holding the Bible. And what they will do for the Negroes in the church, Negro males, is talk about chastity and how they were born again and how because they are born again, they are virgins again. And they'll run all of these gimmicks on gullible Negroes. And these gullible Negroes will believe what she's saying because they don't really understand the Bible. They don't even understand her. They'll talk about, and she'll also talk about forgiveness and all of this other stuff. But you'll see that she doesn't really practice what she preaches because when she'll get into an argument with you or a disagreement with you, that's when you'll see her bearing her true fruits. And this is what they will do when they are the born-again Christian. And they will oftentimes deceive a lot of brothers who are in the church because they don't know that this female is just running a game. And she's looking to, again, monkey branch from those white men she's having trouble with to get with these black men. And the second one you have to watch out for is the natural hair, Afrocentric Mother of Earth. Now, this is another one of the personas that your Afro-American Negro female will put on to deceive black men. She will go out here talking about how she has found herself and how she's no longer wearing the weave anymore. She's taken that out. Now she's got this natural hair. She's put on this garb of the made in Taiwan kufi and dashiki, and she's got put on the made in Taiwan dress, and she's talking about how we came from Africa and how she supports her black man and how she supports her melanated brothers. And she'll run this gimmick on the Negro, and because the Negro does not understand that he is being fooled, he'll sit there and fall for all of her rhetoric. And what she will do, as she's running this gimmick on this Negro, what she will do is talk about how she has to be chaste and pure. Meanwhile, this was the same female who, whenever one of these white guys rolls up, she's running into the bathroom of the coffee house to orally pleasure him or give her part of her body in a sexual interaction. So when it comes down to this Negro female, again, she will tell you these stories about chastity and purity because she doesn't really want a relationship with you. What she wants to do, again, is monkey branch to a beta male that she can use for resources and protection. Meanwhile, the same, again, natural hair, Afrocentric female, what she will do is if a white guy rolls around, she will then get involved with him because that's part of the gimmick that she uses to get the attention of these white men. But the washed up female, she's already been run through by most of the white men, and now she wants to run the same gimmick on the Afro-American Negro, who is extremely gullible. Now, the third washed up black female you have to watch out for is the Bohemian. Now, this is another one of these Negro females who, again, has been run through by the white boys and the Asian boys, and now she wants to head over to the black men. And usually what these women are, they talk about how they're into the arts and how they're into poetry and how they have all of these things like one-woman shows and things like that. And usually after the white guys have had their fun, now she wants to talk about how much she loves the black community, how much she wants to empower the black community, and how she wants to use her art to better the black community. When 5 or 10 years ago, when she was at her sexual peak and her most attractive, this same female was the one turning up her nose at black men and wanted nothing to do with black men and was out here with her white boyfriend at these art shows and at these theater, the what is it, theater shows, and trying to be a star in the arts community and even in acting. And what these females will do, again, now that their prospects have dried up in the entertainment fields and her prospects have dried up in the arts, is usually what they will do is try to get a job as a school teacher in some cases, because these chicks have master's degrees, and they will go out here and talk about how much they love the black community and they're all about black empowerment. And they use a lot of flowery 50-cent words, just like the Afrocentric chick does. And they want to try to make themselves appear intelligent to the average black man, because the average black man doesn't really understand things like a lot of these simps out here. They'll fall for her gimmick and then not know that this chick, again, is only coming to you because her options with white men, Hispanic men, Arab men, and Asian men are completely over, and she sees you as the last choice. And this is where a lot of these brothers out here, they just don't really see the okie doke, because if she's coming to you at her worst, she is basically putting a middle finger up at you black men, because she's basically saying, I want to be with you only after all of these other men have had me, and after all of these other men have rejected me. And even worse, she will go out here after all of those white men, Asian men, Hispanic men, Indian men, and Arab men have had her, and then go get this thug Negro, and then after the thug Negro, who is just basically the dustiest, most effeminate dude in the community, has had her, then she comes to the decent brothers talking about how much she loves black men. And again, that's a middle finger up at you brothers who have gone out here, done the right thing, worked hard. She's basically telling you that you are her last choice. And that's an insult to you, because you have gone out here, worked hard, put yourself first, and made yourself to be the best you can be. And she's telling you that she's not willing to accept the best you until she has finished with all these other men out here. And that's, again, a slap in your face, because for this washed up black female who is past her prime to tell you that in your prime, who have worked hard to be the best you can be, is that she will only get involved with you when she is at her worst, that is a complete insult to you. And you really need to really think about that whenever you watch these videos praising black men. Because again, if these women truly loved black men, they would have pursued black men who were out here working hard, trying to do the right thing, and trying to build when they were young. Now that they are old, now that their prospects have dried up, what we have now are a bunch of washed up black females who are now looking to monkey branch to a simp, and they're looking to monkey branch to that simp to have a place to stay for the interim until they believe the next white man comes along. Because what they want these men to do is like what I mentioned in my ebook, The Misadventures of Captain Savaho. This what they want to do is, after these other guys have had her, they want you to come in with your Ben Cooper cape and your Mickey Mouse galoshes to come in and save her from the situation she got herself in, because she chose to get involved with these men, and she chose to have relationships with those guys. And now that her prospects have completely dried up, now she wants to go to the black man. And this is what this is all about, regarding all of these videos now praising black men. Because I was on YouTube for the last decade, and I've watched many of these black females making these videos denouncing black men, again, talking about how white men are so great, talking about how black women need to date outside their race, they need to explore their so-called dating options, and how they need to go out here and find somebody else because the black man wasn't worth the time. Again, they talked about all these other guys and going out with these guys, and then they went out here and got involved with this pool of beta white males, beta Asian males, beta Hispanic males, beta Arab males, the cast-offs and leftovers of those other races. And then once those cast-offs decided that they had had their fun with this black woman and wanted to actually get serious about building their own communities, they then either abandoned these women, divorced these women, and left them with biracial children, or just had biracial children with these women out of wedlock, and then decided they wanted to move on. Some of these women have been beaten up by these white boys and these other guys out here. And again, they want to come back to you with all of this baggage. And what they want to do, again, is make you, as I've said before, the Pullman Porter in the relationship. And you black men, a lot of you, don't have the backbone or the stones or the self-esteem to value yourself enough to say, I'm not going to be a Pullman Porter in a relationship, because back in the days of the Pullman Porter during Jim Crow, black men had to take that job because it was the only job they were allowed to have. And in 2019, in the 21st century, a black man should value himself enough to say to himself, look, too many people have fought and died for me to get my freedom in this country, as limited as it is, for me to make myself a Pullman Porter to a black woman, where I have to go back to this washed up black female who is going to try to emasculate me and tell me that I'm a boy, that I'm an N-word, and that I have to put up with her substandard and accept her substandard as my standard, when, again, God has a lot more for you than her substandard. When you follow the ways of the living God, you understand that God made you first, He made you the leader, and you don't have to accept her substandard as your standard. You, as God's leader, can follow God and meet His standard and get the very best and have that abundant life. You can have better than this black woman's substandard, and this is why you need to beware this washed up black female, because you can do better than a washed up black female. You can do better than a substandard female who has just went out here and has gone wayward, like those 5 virgins that Jesus talked about, who didn't have the oil. Why should you, when it's time for you to go and have a relationship with a woman and get married, deal with a woman who has not taken the time to prepare for marriage and be ready for being a wife? She's going out here to go buy this oil after using up all of her oil, and then want to come back in, and then she's finding now that the door is closing. And the reason why the door is closing on this female is because she used up all of her oil in her lamp, which is the light of her life, I believe, and she has missed out on the groom and the prospect of marriage, because she wasted her life, as I see it, with riotous living with these white men, these Hispanic men, these Asian men, these Arab men, and these men are not the ones that God had for her, because she did not want to submit to the order of the living God. She did not want to be the helpmeet and support to the black man. She did not want to follow the lead of the black man. She went her own way, and now these females who went wayward, now they want to be like the prodigal, but when they're actually finding that they're going to be like the virgins who missed out because they went out to buy oil and then found the whole thing shut on them. And that's what this whole gambit is all about regarding these videos talking about how much they love black men. Because 4 or 5 or 10 years ago, again, many of these same women were making all these videos, especially even 5 years ago. They were talking about swirling, talking about exploring their dating options. And now that those options have dried up, they want to tell black men, now they want to get involved with them. Now that they've had all these other men, some of them have illegitimate children with these men, some of them have been divorced by these men, and some of them have student loan debt, others have mental health problems. They all now want to get involved with the decent black man, or so-called decent black man in their eyes. And again, they just want to use this guy as a tool to have an incubator, to get resources for themselves, get attention for themselves, and a place to stay while they go out here and wait for the next white man to get involved with. Well, I say to those women, you don't need this black man, because you said you were strong and independent and you did not need this black man. You said this black man was trifling. Well, now go back to that white man who you deified and worship. Go back to those men, because none of these black men out here deserve someone who is this ungrateful, this unappreciative, and this disrespectful. Because the whole thing is, you had no respect for that black man then, you have no respect for that black man now, and you have no respect for God's natural order. So this is just you trying to get desperate with these videos. And again, it just shows where these females are, because the washed up black female is washed up because she is outside the order of God. And as long as she remains outside the order of God, she cannot find any sort of relationship with any man, because she still is trying to circumvent the order of God. And that's what these videos are all about, is these females trying to circumvent things in the hopes of finding that place to hide, that place to escape. And there is no escape for them, because most people now are onto their game. They see who they are, they see what they're about, and because they see who they are and what they're about, they're seeing that this is not somebody they want to deal with. And this is what I'm seeing again from these videos, is just another washed up black female trying to get back with black men and trying to find that place with black men. And it takes black men to wake up and smell the coffee, because these women are not concerned about you. They're just looking for a place to stay, to be taken care of. And this is why you must beware the washed up black woman, because washed up black women don't care about black men. If you want to learn more about washed up black women, or washed up women in general, you can pick up my ebook, The Misadventures of Captain Save-A-Ho, on Amazon.com by clicking the link in the description box. And if you want to learn more about why so many of these black women are single, you can pick up my ebook, Why 70% of Black Women Are Single. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.